Can you all hear me? Okay, right on time. That's good. Thank you for coming. At this talk, what can my foldable do? I'm Francesco Romano, Developer Relations Engineer for Android at Google. I know you already have a question. Yes, it's me. I was just younger. Yeah. That was before parenthood. Okay, so why... I cannot switch. Okay. Why I decide to bring this talk today now. A brief of history of mine. 15 years ago, I was pretty excited. I was not a developer yet, but I was pretty excited, still a lot into tech, so excited about the mobile ecosystem. We had phones of every shapes, hidden keyboards that could slide out, flip phones, different input methods with the stylus, and so on. So I had this wow effect when a new device hits the market. Then, about 10 years ago, I started to work as a developer. And I realized that, this diverse ecosystem is cool, but it also means fragmentation. And it also means a lot of more work for developers to support all those different devices. And I started to have this attitude, being a little bit more, allow me the term, negative towards devices that were, deviating from the standard aspect ratio. Somehow, I kept working as a mobile developer. And I have to say that 5 years ago, things got a little bit better. The introduction of Kotlin, that is a language that is very robust. The introduction of the Jetpack libraries that do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. But it still felt like an ongoing struggle to support different form factors. And we get to today. Today, thanks especially to Jetpack Compose, I have to say that it doesn't really matter if the device is rotated, if it is unfolded, if it is thrown into the water. Don't throw devices into the water, but I'm saying at the end, it's just a new recomposition. You can check how much space you have, you can check the state that you saved, and you can recreate the UI accordingly. And this approach alleviated a lot of the anxiety around supporting different form factors. And now I can still be happy if there is a new device hitting the market. I can focus my creativity on thinking what kind of unique experiences I can build on my user, I can bring to my users on those devices. Well, I hope at the end of the talk you will kind of feel the same sentiment. So, how I am planning to convince you about that. We will have an overview of foldable devices, aka what you need to watch out for when you build apps for those form factors. We will look at Jetpack WindowManager, your friendly library to help you in this task. Some differentiating experience, so unique use cases that you can only build on foldable devices. And then hopefully we will have time for questions and maybe also answers. So let's start with the overview of foldables. Let's start with something simple. You have your app on your phone. Probably you can assume the window side is not going to change. You can lock the orientation in the manifest, so even after rotation, nothing happens. But let me show you how your users on foldable devices can break all those assumptions very easily. Just like this. So even the most basic interaction on a foldable breaks all the assumptions, because now the window is in landscape, it's not portrait anymore. The window sides change it, and many other things change it. So when you look at a foldable device, there is some inherently dynamism in the approach the users have with those devices. So it's better to embrace this dynamism and think what users can do on those devices. Of course, dynamism, I call it dynamism. You say it has a name. It's called the configuration changes. And you can say, okay, in the manifest, I can opt out of a configuration change and handle it in my app. That's fine. I would say, sure, you can handle the orientation. It's just a rotation, typically 90 degrees, sometimes 180, but it's a rotation, you can handle it. You can handle the screen size. It's just more space, you show more stuff, it's fine. Density. Does anyone know how to handle density changes at runtime in the app? You were not expecting this, right? But with two screens, it may happen that the two different displays have a different density. And much more. So you quickly realize there are a lot of configuration changes, and probably trying to handle all the corner cases, it's not the best solution. Okay, you can say, I can avoid some of them. You know, like I request a specific orientation. I specify in the manifest my activity is not resizable, so please do not resize it. I even specify a fixed aspect ratio that I want to maintain. I say, I'm kind of done. False. Since Android 12, OEMs have the options to ignore those requests. And on some devices, your app will be put in compatibility mode. What it is compatibility mode, you can learn more at the link below. But basically, your app will be shown in the aspect ratio that you asked, even on a landscape-shaped device. It is still usable, but you are not using the additional space, which is kind of the point of having additional space, you know, of having a bigger screen. Also, your app can still be recreated for a variety of reasons. So, again, better to embrace that, build an architecture that is robust, and start handling those possibilities. We were saying you have more space, okay? You may be asking, what do I do with this extra space? I'll go very quickly through some design resources, but first of all, save this link. The large screen gallery, it has a list of optimized designs divided by verticals: social media, communication, media consumption, creativity, productivity, and so on. And I just want to go very quickly through 3 canonical layouts that you can build on a bigger screen. One is the list detail. List detail, self-explanatory. You have a list on one pane. When you click, you open the detail on the other pane. So it's quicker to scroll, and also have the reference detail on the side. There is the feed, which is when you're going to show a lot of elements that have the same importance. And in this case, the suggestion, instead of using a column that spreads across the width of the device, you can use a staggered grid for a better view. And then the supporting pane. Supporting pane, technically, in terms of implementation, is similar to list detail, because you have the main content and the secondary content. The difference is mostly the relationship between those two contents. So in list detail, both the list and the detail can be shown by themselves. They are meaningful by themselves. While in a supporting pane, this toolbar doesn't have any meaning if there is no main content. So that was very quick. Let's go to the implementation side. As I said, Jetpack WindowManager is probably the most important library that you need to know when developing for different form factors. Why? So it gives you information about the window metrics and also the window size classes, which is a concept that we are going to explore a little bit later. But the window metrics, why are so important? Because you cannot rely anymore on the screen metrics. Maybe you start your app on this screen, you cache that value, the screen width and height, and then the user switch the screen. Or you start here and the user go in multi-window mode. So your app thinks that it can use the whole screen, but it's not true. So way better to use the window metrics and also conceptually the window size classes. Jetpack WindowManager also allows you to show two activities side by side. We will explore very quickly this possibility. Very important. Those two will be the main topics of this talk. So information about the position, orientation, state of the fold, and also APIs to switch between displays programmatically or using both displays at the same time. Let's start with the, that's how you use it. The latest stable version as of today is 1.2.0, but there's also 1.3 beta around. Okay, window size classes at the end as just a list of breakpoints it's the suggestion where you should switch from a layout to another. You have both window size classes for the width and for the height, but since typically an app content can be scrolled down, so we'll focus this talk on using the width size classes. And that's how you compute the window size classes. Now, this is a very overly expanded code. That is, you're adding the value of width, height, density to some val, but you don't really need. I mean, this is the code that computes the window size classes. It's just this line, and then you will have compact, medium, expanded. Let's see how you can use it. One example that I want to show you is how do you use it in navigation. So on a compact screen, typically you want the bottom navigation bar. That's the suggested solution. But on a wider screen, reaching to the center bottom is a little bit more difficult. So you may want to use a nav rail for a better ergonomics. If you have even more space, you may want to show the full navigation drawer. And this translates to code. I saw some apps having two different navigation graphs for if the device is phone or tablets. This is not recommended. While, first of all, you cannot really assume that is tablet as any static meaning, because you can start on a wider screen and then you go multi-window. And then how do you retrieve where the user was in terms of navigation? So a recommended approach is to keep the same navigation logic, the same navigation graph, and then at each destination, you just show different content depending of the window size classes. You can learn much, much more. I mean, I'm not talking about all the nuances about navigation, but you can learn more at the link below. So this translates to code roughly something like this. Again, very simplified version, but what that means, size class is compact, we show the navigation bar. If it is medium, we show the navigation rail. Otherwise, we show the navigation drawer. So the second thing that you can do with the Jetpack WindowManager is to show two activities side by side. I'm not advocating to adding multiple activities to your app. This is just a very quick solution. It is easy to set up, very few lines of code. And if your app is already based on having multiple activities, for example, you have an activity for the list, an activity for the detail, with activity embeddings, you have this quick solution of showing them side by side. It automatically adapts if the window width becomes smaller. It will show just one activity, and all the navigation is preserved. There are a bunch of customization that you can do. Like if the split, you don't want it 50-50, you can do it like 30-70. You can choose which activities are always expanded, like if you're showing media or something. But again, we don't have time to cover this today. So if you're interested, link below, activity embedding. And we get to the main point of the talk, which is how to deal with the fold. So Jetpack WindowManager provides this class called the folding feature that gives you the information about the state. So if it's flat, like this, or half opened, if it is horizontal or vertical, it gives you the position as a rect in the window space. It tells you if the fold is occluding some content. For example, on devices they don't have like a flexible display, but they have two displays divided by a physical hinge. Some content may be occluded by the fold. And also this property is separating, true or false, is separating is true if the two panes divided by the folds can be seen as two different logical panes, like places for the user. For example, if those are two different displays, yes, is separating is true. If the device is put in this mode, is separating is true, because it doesn't make sense to put content in the middle of the hinge because it's difficult to reach. Check out this link. There are way more information about foldables, but let's see how to use it. So Window Info Tracker is the main entry point. You create it, and then you can query for the window layout info. It can be queried from Kotlin flows or Java callbacks. In this case, I'm just using a lifecycle aware coroutine that it's started and stopped with automatically. And you get this object of the kind layout info, which contains the list of features that you can use to update your layout. Now, you may ask, okay, I know where is the fold, where is the state, the position, all those things. What do I do? To answer your questions, we need to go to the next section, which is differentiating experience. So what you can build on foldables that you cannot build on other devices. One experience is this one, tabletop mode. That is when the device typically sits on a surface, it is half opened, and it is great for watching media, video calling, freehands, but also photography. Your device becomes almost like a tripod, gaming, and many other use cases. What does supporting tabletop mode means? It means creating a layout that is optimized for this posture. In particular, you can see, for example, you have the main content and the controls on the bottom. Because imagine if you keep just the main content full screen, it will be optimal. Even more if those are two different displays. So let's see how to implement it. We were here in the last slide, so we collect the layout info. We call a function with the layout info. Let's see the example of the media playback. So if the list of features is empty, what does that mean? It's not a foldable? Maybe. it's on the outer screen when there are no folds, or the device is a multi-window and the hinge is not overlapping with the up window. So is empty can happen on a foldable device, but basically you don't care about it. So you just center the video player, because either you're here or you don't have an hinge in the middle of your app. Otherwise, you check the folding feature. I haven't seen yet a device that has 2 folds, but the library provides it as a list of folding features. And then you check if it is in tabletop mode. You adapt your layout to fold the player. What that means, it basically means, depending on your layout, if you just want to move it, if you want to add an animation, if you want to use a guideline, wherever it's best. Otherwise, you center the player. Let's see, the function is tabletop mode. That's very easy. A device is in tabletop mode if the folding feature is half opened and it's horizontal. Horizontal, it means it's wider than taller. There is a similar mode, which is the book posture, book mode. It's just like this. So when the folding feature is vertical, this also can be used for a variety of use cases. You can learn more at the link below. And then we finally get to using the different screens. So typically, when you unfold a foldable device, the inner screen is on and the outer screen is off. Jetpack WindowManager provides APIs to transfer the whole activity to the outer screen. Why? For some different reasons. One example, that's why it's called rear selfie mode, is to use the better rear camera to take selfies, record videos, go live, which is just kind of what we can do right now. No, that's not good. Exactly. And but potentially it can be used for other use cases. But when you start the mode, users will be prompted with this screen, which is a system dialog. You don't need to implement it, but it also means you cannot customize it. And it's very camera oriented because it tells you for higher resolution, flip the phone. It also guides the user towards the feature. Like if users try to start that feature when the device is folded, the system dialog will say, please unfold your device first. And also OEMs have the options to customize it, but typically this is the kind of the standard dialog. So yeah, you can use it for other use cases, but users may be misled by the fact that you're showing this dialog. The other mode is to show different content on the 2 screens. All right, it's not really different. I mean, you have the controls here, just the preview. This API does not require to show any dialog, so you can just start it right away and it will start presenting on the outer screen. It's good for the camera experience too. I used it with my baby daughter, so she sees herself in the phone when I take a picture of her. She's not distracted and looking elsewhere, so that's good. But that's interesting for many other use cases. One is the dual screen interpreter in the pixel mode. So you basically talk in a language and the translation will appear on the other. But think about games that you can build, like I'm not suggesting, but Guess Who or Battle, what's the ship, or what's the name? Battleship, yeah, what's the name? Or presenting and having the speaker notes. I mean, really, this dual screen mode was built for you to, that's too much, but to unfold your creativity, right? Really, to start thinking. As I said at the beginning of the talk, you can look at this device and say, oh, come on, this device transforms. I need to rewrite the UI for these form factors. Or you can think, this is a new interesting device, unique to the Android ecosystem. What kind of value can I bring to my users on those devices? And here you have the full guidance on how to use both rear selfie mode and the dual screen mode. We will see very quickly what the API looks like. So the entry point is called the window area controller. This provides the information, but also it can change the behavior around moving content between screens. From the window area controller, you can get the window area info object that has the session inside. The session is basically an active window area feature. Each feature, you can see, is one of those two right now. So you have two possible operations. One is present on area. That means it's what we call the dual screen, so presenting some stuff on a different display. And the other one is just transfer the all activity to the outer screen. So each operation has a session, has the status of the capability. Let's see in particular the status, what that means. So you're building an app that is not just for foldable. That's pretty good. Can you help me? No. Hello.
Sorry.
Okay, no problem. I mean, it's not only foldable devices. Nice. Okay, can you wait? Oh, okay. Good. So I was saying the capability status, because you're building an app for not just foldables. So you want to check first if that device supports this dual screen or rear selfie mode. So basically you query the status. Either it's unsupported, so the device doesn't provide that feature. It's unavailable. It could be unavailable if you're trying to start dual screen mode where the device is folded. Of course, it's unavailable. It can be available, so ready to start, or it can be active, so you're already presenting something, or maybe even another app, maybe. So you query the status, and then let's see an example of a button that just toggle the rear selfie mode. Very simply, you check the status. If it's already active, you close it. You close the session. Otherwise, you call this function transfer activity to window area. You need to implement a window area session callback, but for this specific thing, which is just transferring the all activity, the callback, it tells you when the session started, ended. You can prepare your app for this, show different UIs, but it's not required to do anything specific. Let's see instead the dual screen. So first part is the same. If this is active, you close it. Otherwise, you call this different function, which is present content on window area. And you have a different kind of callback here. it's called window area presentation session callback. How does the implementation looks like? Basically, on session started, you receive a presenter. On this presenter, you can call set content view. I know right now it's not very compose friendly, but we are working on the APIs that are more compose friendly. That's the beginning. Yeah, I'm just showing it as the easiest view that I could think about it. And again, in the session ended, unless something happened, you have the throwable here. You don't need to do anything special. And while the transfer activity to all area works well with compose because you're just transferring the whole activity, so nothing special. Good. We are at the end of the talk. 3 key takeaways. Don't make assumption about the screen space. We said users can switch display, rotate the device, throw it in the... users can do what you don't expect with devices. So don't make too strict assumption of how your app will run. Start using the tools that you have at your disposal. Of course, Jetpack WindowManager is the most important. I don't think you can go around that. Like, you need to learn Jetpack WindowManager when you start developing for foldables, but also the canonical layouts, the new compose material, adaptive layouts. Those are all great tools to help you in this task. And then, really, what I've tried to tell since the beginning, stop thinking of foldables as just something that you need to support, but think what you can bring as a unique experience for your users. If you have any questions about foldables, Jetpack WindowManager in general, I'm available here. I couldn't make it for office hours, but I am around the conference, or just write me an email. We'll find a way to stay in touch. Also, if you find bugs around the library, whatever. Don't file the bugs that the dual screen doesn't work with compose, because we know. Before we get to we can start going to the question. I leave the resources for a bit if you want to take a picture. That's basically, always say, the gallery, canonical layouts, window size glasses. Foldables, it's more foldables in general. Folder-aware apps is how to implement tabletop mode and those different postures. And then foldable displays mode is either rear screen and dual screen mode. So we do have plenty of time for questions. It was first, sorry.
So I see you are using a fold device. It's working, yeah? Yeah. Okay. So I saw you are using a foldable device yourself.
Yes.
I was wondering if you have some applications which are today fold friendly.
Yes. So in the gallery, I didn't show all of them, but there are also use cases that are published. There is both most of the video player, they already do the tabletop.
Yeah, except
ones.
Video player. For
Yeah, okay. Also Meet. I saw some video calling app. I think also Zoom does that. So adapts to this particular thing. For the dual screen, rear screen, the interpreter, camera, at least the Pixel camera, the Samsung camera app. One thing about that, it does not only work on the Fold, but also like on the Samsung Flip 5, which is the smaller one, but you still have an outsider, a screen outside that you can do this. There are quite a few, but if you check the use cases inside the gallery, there are much more.
Yeah, thanks for presentation. I have a question not related to the foldables, but since you are working at Google, maybe you can share some insights about rollable devices. Maybe we can, in the nearest future, I don't know.
So someone said that writing an API is writing a future regrets, because the Jetpack WindowManager library, I don't know how that will work with rollables. I mean, the window size will change, but we don't know many details. But yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have any insight that I can share about it. I'm seeing the ecosystem going into foldables and flippables much more than the previous years. But yeah, sorry for that.
Okay, thank you.
Everyone in the back.
Hello, thanks for the talk. I am in a situation where we have an application that we have adapted so we can have the portrait, the landscape, it works on Chrome OS and so on. And so now we have to adapt to foldables. But like when I test on foldables, it is not a perfect experience, but it looks like it's some kind of work, like it is usable. What can be then the motivation to really adapt our existing app, because all of this has really a cost when we are in this kind of situation, or we are not blocking our app in portrait and so on, we are already like adapting to form factors. What can like really motivate us and maybe products and someone else in the company to invest in to adapt on foldables? Do you have some answers about that?
Okay, yeah. So there are different layers to answer this question. One is very general, very broadly. Android is going into the direction of adaptive, of not thinking about form factors at all. So it's not just foldables that change shape, but your app can run on a Chromebook when it can be resides, or in DeX mode. From some OEMs already implemented like this freeform resizing. So one thing is looking at your app on the perspective, see how robust is my architecture to support all those different changes, so not having backing any assumption. And the other question is what kind of experience you can bring. I don't know what your app does, but it's what value can you bring to your users in adapting. So imagine you say your app doesn't work. I mean, it works, but it's not especially perfect on a foldable device. So think about those users. How can you improve the experience for them on those devices? And if you need some like metrics, data point from the gallery, you can scroll. There is, again, the use cases where some apps, I don't know, like Chrome, when it started, implemented the split screen feature, it saw one improvement of, I don't know, but a very high multiplier of the usage of that feature. And depending in which space your app is, you can check if there is any similar use cases. You can check, oh, with this implementation, this app improved that much. Maybe, yeah, you can use the same metrics for your app.
I have a more personal question for you.
Personal?
Yeah. Do you think the Pixel Fold is worth the price?
Is
worth the price? Because
I cannot comment.
maybe we can turn off the camera.
I got it for free. Yeah, I cannot really comment on that. I work for Google.
And will some version of the Fold come to France? Because this one isn't sold here. Is there another Fold? Maybe?
And,
Can you answer that?
currently, I don't know.
Ah.
I mean, does the Samsung Fold is shipped here? Okay. Good. We can unfold the doors and leave. Okay. Thank you very much.